This is Bob McDonough, and I am reading my poem, Playground, and I'm dedicating the reading to all the friends I made in Turtle Park in Cleveland Heights. In a rush of car and child noise, the sky roars, faintly, unmistakably. It's a day to see the world as it is, as if the rain this past week had washed all faults from my eyes. I do not stand between myself and anything. From this broken bench, I see my daughter, blonde darling, smack her friend in the face with sand. Two mothers jump to the case, scolding and understanding, but I do not care, though her aim, as Alice says on her way to wipe off Joe, was admirable. I see Renee, 13 and stoop-shouldered, the chinning bar beneath her knees, her hands around her ankles, spinning again and again until I feel my brain pressing against the top of my skull. She stops, hangs from her knees, grabbing at her shirt, flips off to her feet. Someone applauds, and she blushes. Alice returns. A woman and a wolfhound jog by. I'd like to bring our dog, but I'm afraid she'd bite a kid. I'm glad we have her, though. My husband needs to learn to love, and dogs are easier. How to answer? I have a dog in the basement. My wife left him the last time she checked into the hospital. She wouldn't take him back. Alice tops me. His mother always gives away her dogs before she attempts suicide. Joe and my Katie start to play tornado with dead leaves. I get up to stop them, but think, why? The children laugh, the leaves swirl, the wind blows. The kids subside to the swings, demand to be pushed. Renee pushes Joe. The husband and dog arrive. They stand to one side with Alice. We tell the kids, we have to go cook supper, and stay. We talk of winter, being trapped in the house, hating the kids. The swings achieve an accidental unison. The children laugh. Adults are oddly pleased. As we leave, the streetlight comes on, fixing everyone in its clear and steady glow. This is Bob McDonough, and I am reading my poem, Bonnie's Daughter's Funeral. The wind is not kind, eddying about us, tearing at the royal blue canvas, stretched for brief shelter over the grave, rushing away at random much of the rabbi's hard, sweet words. Many are here as Bonnie and Aaron's friends, not having known Bibi, old enough to have been her parents. We have counted our own children, called them at college, or listened to them breathe in their beds, and now make bold to love what was Bonnie's, come as we can to lose her daughter with her. Men no longer own black ties, and this must be Bonnie's mother, and Bonnie's hair even now remains a bright flag to life. We will carry our trivial thoughts right to the edge of a grave, but here at least we know them, and it comes as easy as anything can here, that the rabbi says Bibi died a pure and perfect rose, now in the hand of God, and always to be with her family, and then rounds hard upon us, telling Bonnie her womb has betrayed her, reminding us all our days are as grass. Left outside this terrible comfort, Many of us can scarcely imagine belief. BB is somewhere out of this wind, beyond our guesses and fears. This is Bob McDonough, and I am reading my poem, Résumé, and I hope that my pride in having taught 41 years at Cuyahoga Community College's Metropolitan campus comes through this poem. This is what I do. I teach plain English, reading and writing, to men and women who hardly ever become doctors, lawyers, or even English teachers. I work to give them language to handle their language. Introduction, I say. Body, conclusion, strong topic sentences, transitions. I show them outlines like ladders. Hard work, they answer. Anything's possible. We succeed, or often we fail. I teach failure, too. This is Bob McDonough, and I am reading my poem, Honors Student, and it is about one of my students. He was probably around 30, and he didn't mind telling you how he'd gotten where he was. He said he'd never been bitter, just thought, when he woke up in the hospital, okay, now what? The wheelchair for life and starting college. What had he learned? When you're drunk with your brother and he's waving a gun, never ask, so what are you going to do, shoot me? This is Bob McDonough, and I'm going to read my poem called Mind and Body, which is my small contribution to discussion of the mind and body problem. Mr. Mind lives alone and writes poems. Sometimes he sits in the breakfast nook and looks at backyard slaughter. Birds eat bugs and worms. Cats eat birds. What, he wonders, would like to eat cats? How does it feel to be a worm? Mr. Mind sips mocha java and butters a croissant thoughtfully. Mr. Body lives alone and sweats. Afraid of melanoma, he slathers up everything he can't clothe before gardening. He plants tomatoes, cultivates and mulches, stakes, waters, and prunes. Then Mr. Body showers and sleeps well. Mr. Mind grasps Mr. Body's tomato in a single thought, seed to sauce, from last March to snowy January, good friends, and chicken cacciatore. Mr. Mind will pour a strong California red. This is Bob McDonough, and I will read my poem, Treasurer. In my experience, all treasurers of the boards of all nonprofits are heroes. The first two stanzas are in the collective voice of the board. The third is in the treasurer's voice. 1. The voice of the board. He's strong for us, going out where we dare not, among the numbers, which we imagine as a lunar landscape, dry and sterile and pocked with unexpected craters deep enough to swallow 3 careless committees at a time. But he always returns, bringing maps and charts to show us how it is out there. The treasurer is our hero. 2. the same. The treasurer has bad news. The numbers add up to less than nothing. We're hurt. We want to tell him we're still good people. We all eat low fat or else low carb, and some of us have killer abs. He says he knows, but we're broke. The treasurer is depressed. 3. The treasurer. I am content. The figures add up, as they always do, with a perfect click. Let the heavens fall, and every 501c3 that ever was, so long as things add up. I am the treasurer, and I say among the numbers, ha ha. This is Bob McDonough, and I will be reading my poem, Fred's Books. I wouldn't want to consume a dead enemy's heart for courage, but I will read a dead friend's books. What it had taken a life to assemble, that complex conversation a homeful of chosen books maintains, we could tear apart in one evening, each carrying what we could hold, and his children mailing some to those who hadn't been able to come in. All the books finding place on new shelves where, besides what their authors had put in, they would always declare they were Fred's books. This is Bob McDonough, and I am reading my poem, Old Friends. 4. Male and female, 2 of each. Among them, they've had 6 mates, 9 children, a dozen or more grandchildren, 2 cancers, 1 near death, much angst. These are veteran hearts, much used by love and life. 1 child has died, 1 mate endures. Wherever they were, they would always want good cooking, wine for the 3 who still drink. Tonight they're in a small flat in a senior residence. The hostess has her own art on the walls, some of her friends, roast chicken and vegetables on the table, her dog sleeping underneath it. The past third of a century is theirs to talk about, the future theirs to hope for. The building management forbids any open flame, but tonight, in here, there is a feeling of warmth gathered around, of hearth. This is Bob McDonough, and I hope this poem can be read in the interval of time it presents. It's called Severe Thunderstorm Warning. In May, in bed, in that moment post-flash, while you wonder about sleep and wind and roof, and while you contemplate, if that's the word for thoughts so brief, everything else not yet complete. The mechanic's verdict, test results, your well-loved child's bewildered life. At winter into summer, violent edge, not really spring. With thoughts like these, you wait upon the crash. This is Bob McDonough. When I wrote this poem almost 40 years ago, I called it Words for a Daughter. Now, I am happy to call it Words for a Daughter and Granddaughters. It has a quote from my daughter as epigraph. Bob, I think when I'm real old, I might say, I'm ready, and then you'll say, let's go, and then we'll die. Katie, age 3.5. Love and work, a good man, children, a few friends, a job that fits your hand and lasts, a tough mind. Take what you want and pay the price. It's easier to leave what you've had than what you've missed. Die knowing we were never meant to live in this world. There is no other.